Shanti, everyone. Welcome to those of you who are here with me live. We've already been having a bit of a chit chat before the recording. Really great to have you here. Thanks for your stimulus. And then very warm greetings to those of you tuning in later on through the YouTube video. We've entered the month of July, and in the Brahmin family, every month for us has a different spiritual benefit. It's amazing over time how this has developed. So the month of July is the month of Didi Manmohini. She reached her Karmatit stage on the 28th of July, 1983. And I will put up in these next few weeks, there are some actually very good like animated histories of her that the BKs have made and other such experiences. And Didi is actually the very first BK to surrender into the Yagya. So she was before Mama, before Daddy Prakash, before everyone. And she was actually a widow, you see. So why she was able to do that? She had already become free. So once she was a widow at the age of 26. So when Baba began his classes, she was 28. And this put her, like drama, like put her in this position where she didn't have a family to have to worry about. And once you become a widow, it's completely acceptable for you to then become like a nun. That is acceptable. So she was able, without any obstacle, without any problem, to just become Brahma Baba's right hand, right from the beginning. And as you know, many of the daddies, they were actually quite young. They were 14, 15. So to have a 28-year-old is very valuable because she was the Didi of the daddies. And that's why she is known affectionately as Didi. She is the Didi. Like we have many Didis, but she is the Didi. And Brahma Baba and her were just together right from the beginning. And when they started, so in the next few months, Mama, Daddy Prakash Mani, they all began coming into the yagya. And they formed, Baba split them into 6 different bhavans. And I think it was 12 different groups. And the seniors group that coordinated everything, that was known as the Divine Unity Group. And that Divine Unity group was Didi, Mama, Daddy Prakashmani, Daddy Shantamani, Daddy Chandamani. And then after a couple of years, it was Daddy Janki as well. At that time, Daddy Janki was married, so she was not living in the center. She joined in about 1938. So then later on, she also became part of that group and so on. So it was that group that from the beginning have been organizing everything. And then when Baba started centers, he sent Didi to set up the head office in Delhi in 1952. So she was the coordinator of all of the centers because Mount Abu was like a village, even if you have electricity, you're doing well in 1950s India. So they didn't have any infrastructure there. So this is why Baba thought better to set the head office in Delhi. And so she was the first one, and she coordinated everything from Delhi. And then when Mama became Karmatit in 1965, she then moved to Madhuban, and she coordinated everything from Madhuban with Baba. And then when Baba became an angel, her and Daddy Prakash Mani coordinated everything from Madhuban until 1983. So this is very much the seed song, Brahma Baba's right hand, right from the beginning. And so this month is that month of Didi. And she was also Daddy Janki's best friend. Daddy Janki, her nature, she adored Brahma Baba and she had great reverence for Brahmababa, but Brahmababa was like she was looking up to him. She never felt like she could talk in such a casual, friendly manner so much. And Mama was younger than her by about 6 years. And her relationship with Mama was quite fine, but never really so naturally close. Same with Daddy Prakashmani. Daddy Prakashmani was younger than her also by about 8 years. So again, not so much that rapport in that same way. Mama, Daddy Prakashmani, Daddy Ratanmohini, they were all like working together more in that group. And for Daddy Janki, it was Didi Manmohini and Daddy Chandramani. They were her best friends. They were her confidants. And so for her, Didi was very important. And knowing Daddy Janki, I can see so many of the sanskars similar, because what Didi was like was she was very accurate. She is the one who started off the system of Amrit Vela, 4 a.m. for all of us. She said we must be accurate with everything. She is the one who started off the Thursday book we all offer together. She started all these systems. She is the one who started off like the heading of the Murali, the question and answer, the essence for Dharana at the end, because she felt that she doesn't want just people coming, it's like a religious gathering, but actually they need to use their intellect. There should be a question, answer. You must engage with the Murali in this way. So she was very accurate. Evening class in Madhuban is at 9 p.m. She started this evening class. Evening yoga, she started 7 to 7:30. She started this yoga for everyone. So you can see the contribution she has made for all of us in our routine as well. And you have to be regular and punctual. So in Madhuban, if you've ever been there in Pandav Bhavan, when it is 9 p.m., they bang the gong, like the bell. And Didi used to say that she is the second bell, the second gong. That all of the Madhuban residents, they must be in class by the time she arrives. So the first gong is telling everyone, they got to go. Second time, they must not arrive after him. And also, Daddy Janki was like that. She was very, very strict. To be very regular, very punctual. So I think this month is very much this type of month where we look at our routine, we look at our efforts, we look at our commitment. This is that month of Didi. And one brother had to leave, but he's asked this question about Babbitt saying to us, we've got to be complete with all virtues. And it's very interesting when you churn about the virtues, you realize that you're also churning about your weaknesses, because any virtue that's missing is a weakness. And when we are human beings, you see, we don't really think in that way. We are just like, we appreciate each other's virtues, but we're not trying to have all the virtues. So it's very interesting. We develop this sort of psychology where we want to be perfect and we want to seem perfect, but we don't try and develop all the virtues. And of course, then we end up failing, and we can go through all these cycles of like low self-esteem. Oh, I wanted to be perfect for my parents and I was not able to live up to this. But no one even really teaches us about the virtues. And what is the virtue? What are these things? These things, they are not. Sullivan, you wanted to say something?
Yes, brother. Can you please give us your own definition of what is perfection? There is no definition of perfection in different definitions according to the culture. But
Yeah.
How would Baba say what is being perfect?
Yes, actually, Baba tells us that every soul has their own stage of perfection. So it is that stage of a soul when they leave the soul world. But for the souls who are studying morally, Baba is wanting us to keep in front of us this aim to become complete with all virtues, all powers, and all knowledge. And he calls this the Master Almighty Authority. So just as Baba is full, we have to become full like that. And this is why we have to churn on these virtues, because for us, just having some virtues and being like, we can be a good person, but that's not enough. Baba is saying you need to have all the virtues. So your efforts are actually not in using the virtues you have. Your efforts are in developing the virtues you don't have. And this is the challenge for us. On one side, we must use the virtues we have. Baba says to us, an easy way to progress, use your specialities in Baba's service. Because actually, you will gain blessings through that. And as you gain blessings, it's easier to move forward. But if we just focus on our virtues, we will develop, it'll be even without us knowing, it will be like unknowing, we will develop an arrogance. We will develop an ego. And the arrogance and ego will cause a laziness and a carelessness. And what will happen is, like Baba says to us, many Brahmins, they just get lost into wanting name and fame and prestige. But actually, that is also laziness, because what you are doing is you're just satisfying yourself with small amount. I look good in front of BKs. I am respected. I am praised. And Baba will say, is that all you wanted? Half a cycle, you perform all this devotion, and all you want is a little bit of regard. That is it. Actually, what Baba is offering you is much more. He is offering you kingdom of heaven. It's much bigger. He is offering you heartthrob of Shiv Baba, even much bigger. And all you want is a little bit of regard. So what Baba says is, instead of just focusing on your virtues, you must also churn what the virtues you need to develop. And if we can do both, use the virtues we have and also focus on developing the virtues we don't have, that is what will give us true self-respect. You wanted to say something?
Yes, so I understand that perfection would mean uh, being complete, rather complete, you know? It's not really what we think like perfect, you are perfect. Um, it's having a panel of virtue, completeness, to
Yes,
complete your own cycle, I mean, no?
yes. Because Baba calls it the deity religion. And so, because we are part of the deity religion, the expectation is we will have this completeness. And like you're saying, that if we fill ourselves with all the virtues now, then in different births we will have to like have use different specialities, play different roles. But what Bab is expecting is that we are filling ourselves now. So some of the virtues they will challenge us as well to develop. Today, Baba is talking to us about speaking sweetly, about in every situation, having that peacefulness. For some people, that is like normal, natural for them. For others, it's not normal. Because maybe the family nature is to speak like forcefully and loudly and roughly, and also some cultural differences as well. Like I remember I was at the airport once in India with one of our sisters from Iceland, and she was very jolly. But she was explaining that the Iceland language sounds like people are fighting when they are talking. So she was laughing about this, that, when Iceland people are just talking with each other, everyone is listening, sounds like they are having some fight. They're just about to hit each other, but they are just speaking normally. So sometimes you find this also with the cultures as well, that there's a way of speaking. And what Baba is saying is that for you as Brahmin, you cannot make this excuse anymore. You cannot say, "Oh, my culture, all my old sanskars like this." Baba will say, "No, you now have to create new sanskar, and you have to become like Baba." Baba is if you watch the video, he speaks very softly, slowly, sweetly, eye contact with everyone, giving respect to everyone, listening to him. So he is role modeling for us how he wants us to be. And so, in this way, and then he says to us, the Brahmin family, there's one or two more of these, but Baba says, the Brahmin family is like a hall of mirrors. And maybe you have this in your countries as well. We have it in the UK where you can go to like a circus. And one of the circus events is like many mirrors. It's like a room of many mirrors. And everywhere you are looking, you are seeing yourself. But one mirror is showing you very tall. Another mirror showing you very small. One mirror shows you very fat. Right. So what I'm saying is every Brahmin will show you something different in yourself. As you meet the Brahmin, they like, even if you have one virtue and they have the same virtue, they have that virtue slightly different. And they are showing you another side to that same virtue. And so even to become complete with that one virtue actually is many sides of that virtue.
Mhm. So, what are the signs you would say for the soul to be complete? When do we know? Do we know it, or these souls have already left? They became karmatik like mama and all the daddies. Can we define the signs that show a complete soul or a perfect soul?
Yes, in order to develop all these virtues, we have to inculcate the eight powers. And so Baba says to us, these eight powers, they come through yoga with Baba, particularly at Amrit Vela. And what he says is that these eight jewels, they are able to use the eight powers the whole day in every circumstance with everyone. So having virtues, even human beings can have lots of virtues. But what Baba is expecting of us now is to become complete with all the powers as well. So one of the things about having all the virtues is this ability to have all the opposite virtues as well. So the way Baba always puts it, you have to be loving and you have to be detached. You have to be very caring, and you also have to be very, very gentle with everyone. You have to be very, very tolerant of everyone, and you also have to have that power to confront everything and everyone. So what Baba says to us is the eight powers, they are giving you the opposites, making sure you've got all the opposites of everything. Because the eight powers are about self-sovereignty. Ultimately, a sovereign must have very quick discernment and decision making. And which power to use at which time, which virtue to use at which time, ultimately, this is a decision. And so, whereas we are reaching, first we must have the repertoire. And then once we have that repertoire, we must have the selection. So as a soul is getting towards their complete stage, they will have the full repertoire. So everyone will feel that this soul doesn't have a lacking of any virtue. And secondly, there's no exhaustion of the virtue. So, I tolerated sometimes so much. And Baba says this in the Murali that what happens is 10 times you tolerate, and then the 11th time you say something. And so Baba's saying that you're not then the ocean. You haven't become unlimited. You're saying that I can do it 10 times, but 11th time I better say something. Or you can do for these people, but not for this one. For this one, you will not tolerate. So Baba is saying that you're going to have to reach a point if you are really becoming like Baba. Baba doesn't have a limit. There's never any exhaustion of any power, of any virtue. So these will all be the signs that you are closer towards your completion. So you got the full repertoire. You're selecting the correct virtue and power for every circumstance. And there's no exhaustion of that power and that virtue.
So it's about being constant. It's the constant.
Yes. So Baba is saying that you reach a point where this lasts for half cycle. So if you think the capacity that Baba is developing in us, he wants this to last for full half cycle. That you are able to have all of this capacity, all of these virtues. That's why there's no conflict in the golden and the silver, because everyone is full, everyone is complete. So he said he will make us this now, and it will then last. Would anyone else like to say anything? Ranjan is here.
Hello, Didi.
Shanti everyone.
I'm sorry.
Anyone else like to say anything or ask anything?
Om Shanti to everyone. Can you hear me, brother? Many
Shanti.
blessings. Om
Hallelujah.
Shanti, Ranjan Ben.
Om Shanti.
So
Yes,
good to see
hear you
you.
well.
Yes. Okay, so brother, the Murali of July the 3rd, that has given me a lot of, I've tormented a lot when Baba said that there's souls who you beat their head so much, you know that, you know, it almost puts me in a place of there's no hope for them. And I know I must not judge. But how to do, what to do, I get kind of like knocked out by Maya because of that. Om
Hmm.
Shanti.
Yes, it's a tricky one, isn't it, Linda Ben? When we're in a gathering with different Brahmins, some people are with their families, some people are with their work colleagues. The thing is that we're dealing with many different souls, with many different sanskars, many different understandings, many different capacities. And the way Baba does it is he makes everything available. So when it's with Brahmins, I think we just got to encourage everyone to listen to the Murali and then let the Murali explain to others, really. Because my experience is that often the people that are like in our local locality, they don't really want to listen to us and our explanations. So most of the time, what we got to do with those people is just encourage them to listen to the Murali, and they can then listen to Baba directly. And ultimately, Baba's study can just carry on working on them. And if not today, tomorrow, the change will happen. Then, with regards to others, where, you know, they're not changing. You see, I just think people are definitely not going to change if we say anything. And I shared this with you before, that I had one of the senior managers at my work. He was saying to me that he spends almost the whole of his day stopping himself, telling others what to do. Because he said the thing about academics, like these are very clever people. Once you tell them what to do, they will definitely not do it. They will be stubborn and make sure they are not doing what you want them to. And so there's this thing about human nature as well. In a sense, us speaking doesn't help. And so I think more and more we just got to take that on board. Devi Gulzar was like that, you'll remember, you know. I used to wonder, why doesn't Devi Gulzar like say things more to people? But I think she just learned over time that actually saying things to people is not really that helpful most of the time. Then thirdly, within that, um, I feel one of the big lessons of having all virtues is understanding boundaries. And I feel a lot of the education that Baba's giving me in this life is just, I got to understand what my boundaries are. And some of that can be like, what can I actually do here? So we mustn't exhaust ourselves. We mustn't, this is why Baba says you got to be loving and detached. Sometimes we care too much. It's our nature. And we're wanting the best for everyone. But actually, we're losing our boundary then. And we can only do so much. Our sanskars always want us to do more. Other people's sanskars they also want us to do more than we're doing. But actually, we just got to keep our limit. We'll do this much. We've got to just have relationships of service mostly with Brahmins, not personal relationships. Again, it will exhaust us otherwise. And then with everyone else as well, relatives, again, you see, with your family members, families usually don't have boundaries with each other. They find boundaries very difficult. Like I am that type, and people probably have got used to me. And I'm born in England, so they would see it also like a younger person, Western person. But traditionally, like in an Indian family, no one has any boundaries. And it's just everything is everywhere. Everyone is sort of always angry at each other, don't want to be with each other, and can't live without each other. It's like there's very complex attachments that are part of Lokik family. And that can also be the same in the center as well, because over time, Brahmins also can develop these different types of, different attachments. So again, I think we've got to be aware that our propensity towards attachments will distort these relationships. So we've got to have boundaries to protect ourselves from others' sanskars, and we've got to have boundaries to protect others from our sanskars. And so all of this, I think, is part of our education. And as we get better at all of this, I think we just learn that we just don't need to think about it anymore. So when Baba is saying that, doesn't matter how much you beat your head, some people, they never change. My interpretation, he's saying that they got to choose to change. That's what he's saying, right? And that will happen mainly as I change. Because the biggest service we can all do is changing ourselves. And as we change ourselves, there's a vibration that we're sharing of change. And sometimes you meet someone, like you knew them 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and you meet them, and you can really feel they genuinely change. Like there's the biggest service that we can provide to other Brahmins is that real sincere self-introspection and self-transformation. Because Brahmins are also full of knowledge. They don't need more knowledge. But Brahmins need the company of people who are sincerely trying to change themselves and to use Baba's knowledge and Baba's remembrance. So then we learn that actually I don't need to change anyone else. I don't need to even look at anyone else. And then as we're dealing with everyone, I just always have Baba's face appear in front of me, like no matter how anyone behaves with me now, because I've been with Baba now a long time. And Baba, okay, I had to grow, I had to develop my capacity, I had to become more mature. But now Baba's face to me is just like, you just got to accommodate. You just got to use, it's all about using the 8 pounds. You're just going to have to forgive. You're just going to have to. So it's this combination. I have my boundaries, but then I have to now just have only loving feelings, pure feelings. Baba said to us 2 Sundays ago that you can check your yoga power with how much you became a holy swan, how much your heart remained clean. And you might remember in that Murli, I think it might have been 3rd of March 2000 Murli, that Baba said that he's not even going to confirm the dates for coming the following season because he's expecting changes. And he's saying to us that he really expects, like he said about becoming free from anger, he also is saying to us that he expects us to reach a point where we don't hold on to anything in our heart about anyone. And this cleanliness in our subconscious is a big theme of these last few months. So I feel that all of these things, everyone is behaving in a way where previously it would push our button and we will store this in ourselves. I was watching Jayanti Didi read the Murli last Saturday when she was in New York, and the time zone meant that this class finished and it was the time of their Murli. And I didn't watch the whole of the Murli reading, but after the Murli, she was giving a little class on it. And I've heard this from her many times actually, but it was useful to hear it again. And what she was talking about was the sanskar of taking some, and she was saying that this is often a very deep sanskar within Brahmins. And even if we're not taking sorrow like we were before, like before Baba's knowledge, but we can still have this sanskar, even if it's like other people's sanskars bothering us, even that. It's this sanskar of taking sorrow from things. And she was saying that this is a bondage for us. So she sees many Brahmins, they can't be happy as a Brahmin. And she was saying that actually, if we think about it, we should just be making a list how much Baba has given to us. But what happens is this sanskar of taking sorrow, it doesn't allow us to even appreciate how much Baba has given to us. And so for her, this is a vital sanskar to change because we can't experience the happiness. And this is a karmic account of the soul, of just keep on taking sorrow. Even though we've been Brahmins for many years, still we are absorbing other people's sorrow, circumstances, sorrow, other people's weaknesses and deficiencies. We are keeping all of this into our heart. So then where will Baba's happiness be? Where will Baba's love be? Where will Baba's treasures be? It's not possible to have both. We do have to make a choice. So what she was saying is that if we sincerely want to change this sanskar of taking sorrow, Baba will give a lot of help. What will happen is as we make our efforts to change this through Baba's remembrance, and also we have to change our attitude and change the way we think. If we still think in the old way and we have the old attitude, we'll just keep taking sorrow. But if we genuinely use knowledge and we genuinely use yoga to change this, she was saying that we'll reach a point where Baba just waves his wand and gives us a blessing. And we'll notice that this sanskar of taking sorrow has just begun to go. And so, sister, I think that it's ultimately all about this, it's always going to be about our capacity that has to build. Do you want to come back on that?
Yes, brother. So I have to treat this mind like a child. And I understand that to take sorrow is I feel that I could fix everything, so I really appreciate that clarity of my boundaries, just understand and just let it be, just be that detached observer. So now I'm practicing as the days go, every day I have a plan for myself because I know that this is what I have to change, to be the fixer, but not the fixer. I'm rather giving the good wishes, seeing the specialities of the soul to help appreciate whatever. And just in my company that I keep, physical company with whoever they are, the souls, whether they are Lokik family or the Lokik family, and the relationships, not to be too familiar, because I really feel that familiarity breeds that contempt, and it puts me in a place where I can't see the speciality, the goodness, the virtue of the soul. So I have to remember this day, like it's a drill for me. Thank you. And Baba really gives the blessing. He does give the blessing when you you admit that this is my weakness before Baba. And he knows already, I know, but to hear myself confess or to say to Baba, this is really something that I have to work at. So I see that this is my exam that I'm practicing for. Om Shanti, everyone.
Om Shanti, yes, good point about familiarity there. And you see, we didn't have Baba with us for so many thousands of years. So we are trying to be Baba, right, for others. This is why we are trying to fix everything and sort everything. And we develop these sanskars. We play many roles, whether it's parents, whether it's leaders, so we played many roles. So the mind will always go back to what is familiar. And this is why we have to train ourselves. And this is why the boundaries come in. And now Baba is here. This is the big difference. So where we were trying to be like God for others, now actually God is here. So we don't need to play this role for anyone. Only Baba is going to play this role for everyone. And if you look at Shiv Baba, he's the best at the boundaries, isn't he? He is remarkable at how he stays within boundaries. He just plays his role. He doesn't try and play anyone else's role. He doesn't comment on anyone. He doesn't correct anyone. He's fixing everything like generally, but he is not every moment trying to fix everything. Like he's just playing his role, and he doesn't absorb anything into himself. He doesn't take any sorrow. It just has these boundaries. But also the other way around. He puts boundaries on himself, not to overwhelm anyone. And it's very interesting because otherwise the Almighty Authority has such power, he could just overwhelm everyone else. But he doesn't also even do that. He puts power. If you look at how he interacts with all of us, love is in the front, power is in the back. Right? If you look, love and wisdom, they are the two things Baba manifests. And he keeps his power in the backseat. And this is very, there's no one as good at boundaries like Baba. He is the best. But we didn't expect this in Bhakti. We didn't think that God would have boundaries. We just assume he can do whatever he wants. But he's teaching us, even I don't do whatever I want. I keep boundaries. You have to become like me. So this is why. But all of this is now has to end for us. All of the things we try to be others' gurus, we try to be others' mothers, we try to be others' fathers, we try to be others' saviors. We're always trying to, because God was not there. So we are trying to be that for others. And now Baba is saying, just be a child. You don't need to be this anymore. I am here now. I will be this forever. But because we took so much self-esteem from those things, our mind doesn't want to let go because it's still looking to feed from those roles. But actually, the journey is we learn just to be a child again, just to let go again. And look at Brahma Baba. He had to go through that, right? He just let go of everything and just flew and became an angel. So this is what we all got to do. Ranjana?
Yes, and also Baba says that drama is also powerful, and otherwise God is the Almighty. But he says that because even he is bound by drama, he comes a creator, doesn't he?
Mm.
So this is how he keeps himself in the boundary by saying, well, this is the drama. He becomes detached and just what he said, observer, detached observer, yet, sees. But if a child is honest and gives honest child and takes first step of courage, Baba is there to help. Many fold, many steps Baba takes. But we have to have clean heart. Like he said, if your clean intellect and mind is not clean, how can Baba sit in your heart? It was a few weeks ago, wasn't it?
Right.
And these two classes, like you said, Chit been reading, it comes in the YouTube, you can see, and also she gave a few weeks ago about this sorrow, how not to take sorrow. Even that class, they both are in English. So probably, I keep getting it on my YouTube, so try that. And also Baba says that there is so much knowledge, and especially now the technology is there, there's so much knowledge in the world. People have so much knowledge and they're tired now. They are looking for the proof. Huh? Many Mullis Baba spoke in the 90s, and so Baba says you have to show with our features and our behavior, and we have to remember where Baba reveals us in front of, but now it's our turn to reveal Baba through our features. You have heard few this. Baba often says that children, now your features and your behavior should reveal that who is making them like that. And so they can get curious and they can come, and that way we can serve, like, but they want a proof. People are really tired now. Although there's, still there's so much knowledge, so they go to them. But Baba says, because once you're ready, they are going to come. You'll have, each one of us will have to do the task for 10 people's task. There will be long, long queues in every Gita Pathshala, each one of us. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And you see, this point about using the drama, I also think we as Brahmins can use it in quite a cold way, in a little bit of a harsh way sometimes. So if someone is making a mistake or they're not listening to Baba or whatever they're doing, as Brahmins, we use the point of the drama and we say, well, this is their part in the drama. Okay, they're an actor. But that's quite like cold. But over the years, my experience with Shiv Baba is that when he says, well, this is their role in the drama, put a full stop, I think he's doing it with the feeling that they will put it right in the future. And he's giving this good wishes that, okay, you're looking now at when things are not right. And maybe you're looking now at their imperfection and their mistake, but they will put it right in the future. And a few months ago, well, I think you all know that Ranjan and I watch the video of the Sunday Morally every Sunday. We started that off a few years back. And it's really good to meet Baba on a Sunday morning. And you also gain a little bit more because as you see the body language and see what's going on, you gain a little bit more. And a lot of these we were even there or we had seen it at that time. And then this must have been 97, 98, something like that, one of those mornings. And it didn't come in the written copy of the Morali, but Baba was meeting different groups from different countries. And in the 90s, I think there was some upheaval in some of the centers in Australia. And Didi Nirmala was commenting at that time about these things. And some of the BKs who were like the older BKs who'd come in the 70s and the 80s, some of them had then gone back into different lifestyles or were not coming to the class anymore, something like that. And I just remember, because Baba was explaining how much love he has for Australia, because he was saying, in those days, most BKs outside of India were in the UK or in Australia. And he was saying that both are very lovely to Baba, but the Australians more, because in the UK, you still got a lot of people from India who are based in the UK. But a lot of the BKs who were coming at that time in Australia, they were actually non-Indians becoming BKs. So that's a much bigger achievement. So Baba has a great deal of affection for that. And it was many of those who were then not coming anymore to the centers, or they had been living in the centers and they had then left the centers for one reason or another. And I just remember so vividly Baba's comments. And he was like looking into, I could see the expression in his face. He was looking into the future. And he was telling Didi Nirmala and telling all the daddies. But those souls, it's already fixed in the drama that their future is going to be very elevated. And it was just became very clear to me that when a Brahmin makes a mistake, they get defeated by Maya, they have any such difficulty. And Baba is saying, okay, it's in the drama. It's their role in the drama. So Baba doesn't have waste thoughts about it. But together with that, he has the feeling that that soul should have the opportunity to put right what they've got wrong. That's my experience with Baba. that Baba is not using the point in the drama in a cold way. That, oh, it's that part in the drama they made a mistake. It's that part in the drama they got defeated by me. It's that part in the drama they fell. But actually, Baba is saying, but in the future, they could change. And he's having this feeling. So say, for example, well, let's take the example. There's a BK, they're struggling with their BK life. They're struggling with this, that, the other, whatever. And then after some years, they sort themselves out. They're older, they're wiser, they've got a different mindset, and they become an excellent yogi. And then ultimately, their efforts are so fast, their efforts are intensive, they benefit so many other souls as well. And then they reach their karmatit stage. Who cared? Like, who will care? What was the difficulty? No one is going to actually, the fact that they had that difficulty and they bounced back, that is the credit. And so I very firmly, my feeling from Baba, and so I've sat with Baba a lot about these things. And just the feeling I get in yoga from Shiv Baba is there's a sentiment with which he uses this point of the drama, which is actually very warm. And maybe we, sometimes as BKs, we use these in quite a cold way. Ambika, did you want to come in?
Yes, brother. Well, Linda Ben was sharing, I always recall my early days in the yagya and a few murlis. And one of the murlis always stand out when Baba had said, to maintain the stage of equanimity so that we don't get into too much familiarity. And my slogan to myself has been within recent times is that I can't fix anybody. I need to fix me. I need to be what I have to be. And yes, we may not always agree, particularly when it's a soul, whether lokic or alokic in authority, does something that really, in your lokic view, lessens their worth in their behavior. And I have also been churning on the point where Baba is the innocent Lord. And what that means. Does Baba see that soul as any less his child? I always say that Baba only looks at what is right. He knows, Baba knows, but he will always look only at the specialities. And sometimes we come through, particularly in Brahmin life, where we may have made errors. Sometimes we're aware of it, sometimes we're not aware where our behavior is concerned. And what does Baba see? Baba has told us focus on the specialities of that soul or those souls. And that, for me, helps me a lot because sometimes disappointment comes from where we least expect it. And it takes me now within a few moments, if it is I'm pulled, to get back in that, yes, you say it's a drama, but as you're rightly saying, we use the drama in a warm way, not in a cold way. And do we give up on a soul like that? Or do we say, okay, that's there. Not that I can fix them, but always to continue the good wishes for that soul. Because the Baba's child, all of Baba's child, whether lokic or alokic. And it goes back again, being an ancestor soul. That everyone in the tree belongs to us. We are the roots. And particularly for alokic people, for worldly people, for me, I'm able to give mercy and have mercy. So even the worst criminal, I always have a merciful feeling for them. But for when Brahmins are concerned, we tend always to expect more. And I think it's our expectation sometimes brings this deep disappointment. So in aiming to keep this stage of equanimity, it's not that I don't care. I accept for what it is at the moment. I may not agree with it, but understanding and where Brahmins are concerned, Baba said, all of us have to go back together. So if one is keeping back, means I can't go as well. So what do I have to do to be able? And now words are not really people want to hear much anymore. And you have reiterated that many times, is that when I get back to the seed, automatically that vibration goes, and it has to be a pure and a clean state. That my intention is pure and clean. Not that I want somebody to change, yes, ultimately, yes, but a pure and clean feeling for love and upliftment of a soul. And sometimes we don't even need to focus on one soul. It just goes. But to be able to be clean, and as you said, our vibrations reaches, and people can feel, souls can feel, particularly Brahmins can feel if you are interacting with them and not a pure intention. The feelings are not pure. We can pick that up as Brahmins. I think becoming a Brahmin heightens those experiences. So it is really being clean, and you don't want anything in return, whether you want a recognition, a position, being appreciated, not wanting anything, being so altruistic that nothing you want, you automatically get the return, but not wanting anything, but this pure, that for my Brahmin brother or sister, for my Alokit brothers and sisters, that we want what is good for them, but not forcing it and not looking to fix a situation. But when I become more elevated, automatically things, and then Baba, because the intellect starts to become cleaner and clearer, Baba tells you what to do. It gives you that touching, So I always say, that this giving sorrow and taking sorrow. And my thing is not giving sorrow. I always check where karmas are concerned. But I am also very particularly checking myself. Am I taking sorrow? Which I don't want to, because in taking sorrow, you continue the cycle of give and take. Because when I take sorrow, it automatically has to be repaid. So I think for us as Brahmins, and given where time is concerned, we see what's happening in the world, is to become more centered with self and not let things pull us. Put full stop. Papa talks about full stop. I can't change something, but I can see what is the blessing in it. And if a soul is behaving in a particular way, do I see the blessing in that? Do I look at things? So in any situation that I go through now, I look to see what is the blessing, what is the lesson to learn, what is the blessing that is here. And I focus on that, and it changes the situation of how I see it. So I'm not taking. It is not to take sorrow at this time.
Thanks for all that. Some really good explanations there and good points. And see, ultimately, Sullivan was asking earlier, what is the definition of perfection? And I think it's comes down to the ability to accommodate everyone's imperfections. That's one of the big signs of perfection. So if I can accommodate and work with everyone's imperfections, I accept that this is the end of the Iron Age, which literally means the most imperfect time in the cycle. And so it's just never going to be possible for other people to do everything perfectly, to get everything right. It's just not possible. And then the second one is patience. And so I'm currently just working on these two with everyone and everything. because I find that timing is very important, and timing requires patience. Because if you actually want to be effective in getting the results in something, sometimes you need to do things at a certain time in a certain way. And it might mean that you got to wait and then tell that person, oh, can you correct this? And would it be possible to do this? And maybe I have to wait for processes, procedures, people. There's all sorts of things which mean that I have to wait. And part of perfection is the ability to wait. And if you look at Shababa, he has these two. He accommodates all of our imperfections and he waits for us. And it's this very interesting thing. I don't think we expected God to be like this at all, really. Sort of, we just thought he would just click his fingers. But what he's doing is he's being very patient. And it's patience and accommodation that actually is enabling us to change. Because inside of us, because of those two things, we're developing the thought gradually inside of us. I need to change this. This needs to develop. So Baba is very, very subtle. I think let's work with those things. Let's finish with the meditation commentary. Is that okay? And I'll speak it on these things. So I won't play music because through Zoom it comes across quite an awkward way sometimes. But if you wish to play music on your end, please feel welcome to do that. And of course, we make ourselves physically comfortable. We make sure we're relaxed in our body. And then we take our mind to the center of our forehead. And we remind ourselves of the immortal throne, of being a soul. And today, Baba was reminding us of two words to keep in mind: coming and going. And Baba likes to use these two words, couples of words, to summarize Baba's knowledge. And so today Baba is saying, firstly, visualize your state when you came into the cycle. You were karmatik, you were double light, you were very pure. So that's how you came into the cycle. Imagine your divine light leaving the home, nirvana. You came from that divine light of the soul world. You came from the divine light of the Supreme Soul's company. You yourself were double light. And then you come into a pure deity body that's been created through a virgin birth. You go into deity parents. Think how you came into the cycle. And Baba's saying, visualize now, you got to go back in that stage. And today Baba is conveying to us some very loving feelings. He's saying, children, I don't just tell you to do these things. I take you to this destination. So Shiv Baba is very loving, very caring, and he's emphasizing his company. I'm going to take you there. But you got to go back in that same state of being double light that you came down in. This is now your purpose. Everything else you did for 84 births, you've done everything. You played so many roles. You achieved so many things. But this is now what has to be done at this point of the cycle. And so we think about Shiv Baba in the soul world and we say to Baba, Baba, now I have to come back to you. And we can feel Shiv Baba smiling at us. Even though he's a point, it's as if he's smiling. And Baba is this great soul with such pure feelings for everyone. He accommodates all souls. He was saying to us yesterday, he has the knowledge of how every soul plays their role in the cycle. Baba is saying today, Brahma Baba is commenting today in the morning, that Shiv Baba gives us Srimat, the elevated directions through which we become kings of the golden age. But he himself doesn't follow that Srimat and become a king. He's saying it's a wonder, isn't it? How does Shiv Baba know how to become this without him becoming himself? Why doesn't he just make himself a king? But we know that Shiv Baba is very altruistic. He doesn't do anything for his own self-gain. We really value that. It's very valuable to have a soul with no selfishness in our life. He cannot have any gain for himself. So we can trust him. You can't trust any other soul in the same way that you can trust Shiv Baba. Because ultimately everyone has to be a little bit selfish. They have to think about themselves to some level. But Shiv Baba doesn't. With everyone else, you have to have boundaries. But with Shiv Baba, you don't need to have boundaries. So we concentrate on Shiv Baba. We think of ourselves, how we were when we were in the soul world. And we just let ourselves be in this experience for a few minutes. And as we concentrate on Baba, we can feel his forgiveness for everyone. And as we absorb this forgiveness, it increases our capacity to forgive. If we don't have this forgiveness and accommodation, we'll just continue to make our hearts heavy. But we have to become double like that. And keeping Baba in my mind, and keeping the thought also today, Baba was saying, practice meditating when you walk, and just practice disappearing as if you're not really here anymore. So let's continue to practice that through the day. I'd like to thank those of you that were able to join us live. Always great to see you, and thanks for your intelligent and thought-provoking questions and contributions. And also very warm greetings and a very happy week to those of you tuning in later on through the YouTube video. You're also in our mind. And we'll look forward to seeing you all again, should be next week. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.